The Wizarding World has its own newspaper, delivered each morning by Owl Post. The Daily Prophet has been in circulation for centuries, its pages filled with moving photographs and articles about everything from Quidditch scores to Ministry of Magic announcements. Unlike Muggle photographs that capture a single frozen moment, Wizarding photographs move and repeat the same actions over and over, a tiny loop of time preserved forever. The people in these photographs can move from frame to frame, walk out of their pictures entirely, and even communicate with those looking at them, though they're not truly alive, merely echoes of a moment captured by magical means. Communication between wizards takes many forms, but the most common is the owl post. Owls are remarkably intelligent and possess an innate ability to find the recipient of a letter, no matter where that person might be. You don't need to know someone's address, the owl simply knows. This magic is inherent to the owls themselves, not something wizards cast upon them. A witch or wizard can send a letter to Harry Potter without any other information, and the owl will find Harry, whether he's at Hogwarts, on the Hogwarts Express, or hidden away in a house under protective enchantments. For more immediate communication, wizards can use the Floo network, a system of connected fireplaces that allows for both travel and conversation. To communicate through the Floo, you throw Floo powder into a fire and stick your head into the flames, which don't burn when used this way, and your head appears in the fireplace of the person you're calling. It's rather like a telephone call, except you're kneeling on your hearth with your head in the fire. The network is regulated by the Floo Network Authority, and not all fireplaces are connected. Only those registered with the Ministry can be accessed this way. The Ministry of Magic itself is hidden beneath London, accessible through a visitor's entrance disguised as a telephone box. Visitors dial 6-2-4-4-2, which spells MAGIC on a telephone keypad, and descend into the Ministry's vast underground complex. The Ministry employs hundreds of witches and wizards across various departments: the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, the Department of Magical Accidents and Catastrophes, the Department of International Magical Cooperation, and more. At the center of the main atrium once stood the Fountain of Magical Brethren, depicting a wizard and witch surrounded by a centaur, goblin, and house elf, all gazing adoringly at the humans, a representation that other magical beings found rather insulting. One of the Ministry's most important roles is maintaining the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy, established in 1692. This law requires all magical communities worldwide to hide from non-magical people, to keep magic secret and separate. The statute came about after centuries of witch hunts and persecution, when wizards and witches decided it would be safer for everyone if they simply disappeared from Muggle awareness. Breaking the statute is a serious offense, and the Ministry has an entire department, the Obliviator Headquarters, dedicated to modifying the memories of Muggles who accidentally witness magic. Memory charms are delicate magic, requiring precision and care. The spell Obliviate can erase or modify memories, but if performed incorrectly or too forcefully, it can cause permanent damage, leaving a person confused and unable to form new memories properly. The trace detects when magic is performed near an underage wizard, which is why students aren't allowed to use magic during the summer holidays. However, the trace has limitations. It can't determine who cast the spell, only that magic was performed in the vicinity of an underage wizard. This means that in a household full of adult wizards, underage students could technically use magic without being caught, since the trace couldn't distinguish their magic from their parents. The age of 17 is significant in the wizarding world. It marks the transition to adulthood. At 17, a witch or wizard is considered of age, can use magic freely, can apparate without supervision, and can even leave school if they wish, though most complete their final year. There's no graduation ceremony at Hogwarts in the traditional sense. Students simply finish their NEWT examinations, nastily exhausting wizarding tests, and then leave to begin their adult lives in the magical world. Those NEWT examinations determine career prospects, as most magical professions require certain grades in specific subjects. To become an aura, a dark wizard catcher working for the ministry, you need at least 5 NEWTs with grades of exceeds expectations or higher, including defense against the dark arts, potions, transfiguration, charms, and one other subject. The training program lasts 3 years and includes extensive study of concealment and disguise, stealth and tracking, and advanced combat magic. It's one of the most demanding careers in the wizarding world, reserved for the most skilled and dedicated witches and wizards. As night deepens over Hogwarts, the stars will slowly overhead, marking the passage of time as they have for millennia. Students dream their dreams, some of Quidditch matches yet to come, others of spells they're struggling to master, and the castle holds them all safely, a haven of magic in a world that doesn't even know it exists. The wizarding world celebrates its own holidays, some shared with the Muggle world, others unique to magical folk. Halloween at Hogwarts is particularly spectacular, with live bats fluttering around the Great Hall and enormous jack-o'-lanterns floating beneath the enchanted ceiling. But Halloween holds special significance in Harry Potter's story. It was on Halloween night in 1981 that Voldemort attacked the Potter family, the night that changed everything. And years later, it would be on Halloween that a mountain troll somehow found its way into the dungeons of Hogwarts, an event that seemed impossible given the castle's protections, yet happened nonetheless. Christmas at Hogwarts transforms the castle into a winter wonderland. 12 Christmas trees stand in the Great Hall, decorated with everything from luminous icicles to live fairies that flutter among the branches, their tiny lights twinkling in the darkness. The wizarding sport of Quidditch has a long and storied history, dating back centuries. The golden snitch wasn't always part of the game. Originally, Quidditch used a small bird called a golden snidget, a protected species now. Hunters would release the bird, and the first player to catch it won extra points. But this practice nearly drove the golden snidget to extinction, so in 1269, the metal snitch was invented to replace it. The snitch was designed to mimic the flight patterns of the snidget, unpredictable, swift, and almost impossible to follow, preserving the challenge while protecting the birds. Quidditch broomsticks have evolved dramatically over the years. The Nimbus series of racing brooms, the Nimbus 2000 and 2001, were top-of-the-line models in their time, capable of speeds up to 150 miles per hour with superb handling and balance. But the Firebolt, released later, became the most coveted broomstick in the world, used by professional Quidditch players internationally. It's handcrafted from materials like Spanish oak and birch, with specially treated twigs that give it acceleration from 0 to 150 miles per hour in 10 seconds. The waiting list for a firebolt can stretch for months, and the price is astronomical, though exact prices are never listed. You have to inquire personally at quality Quidditch supplies. Beyond Quidditch, wizards enjoy other games and pastimes. Wizards' chess is played just like Muggle chess, except the pieces are alive and can offer advice, sometimes helpful, sometimes insulting, to their players. When a piece is taken, it's quite violent, with the capturing piece literally smashing the taken piece off the board. The pieces remember their players and can develop preferences, becoming more cooperative with those they trust. Ron Weasley's chess set once belonged to his grandfather, the pieces worn and chipped but deeply loyal to the Weasley family. The Weasley family itself represents something important in the wizarding world: pureblood wizards who reject blood purity ideology. Pureblood families are those with no Muggle ancestry for generations, and some pureblood families maintain a sacred 28 list of families they consider truly pure. But the Weasleys, despite being pureblood, have always welcomed Muggles, Muggleborns, and half-bloods, believing that blood status means nothing compared to character. This stance has made them outcasts among pureblood supremacists, but the Weasleys have never wavered in their beliefs. The opposite extreme exists too: families so obsessed with blood purity they've intermarried for generations, weakening their bloodlines. The Gaunts, descendants of Salazar Slytherin himself, became so insular that they lived in squalor, their family reduced to poverty and instability. They spoke Parseltongue, the language of serpents, an ability that passes through Slytherin's bloodline. Parseltongue is incredibly rare, so rare that it's often associated with dark wizards, as Slytherin's heirs have historically included some of the darkest wizards in history. Yet the ability itself is neutral. It's merely the capacity to speak to snakes, a skill that could be used for good or ill. The Sorting Hat, in its annual song, speaks of the school's divisions and the need for unity. Salazar Slytherin left Hogwarts after arguing with the other founders about whether Muggle-born students should be admitted. He believed magic should be kept within magical families, while the others welcomed anyone with magical ability. Before leaving, Slytherin sealed the Chamber of Secrets somewhere within the castle, a hidden chamber that supposedly contained a monster only his heir could control, intended to purge the school of those he deemed unworthy. For centuries, it remained a legend, with many believing it didn't exist at all. The very architecture of Hogwarts holds secrets in every stone. The castle was built over 1,000 years ago, when wizards still wore robes and carried wands of elder or holly, when magic was wilder and less codified. The founders chose this location carefully: remote, protected, surrounded by mountains and forest. They built a school that would last, that would shelter young magic users and teach them to harness their abilities. Each founder left their mark: Gryffinder's sword, Ravenclaw's diadem, Hufflepuff's cup, and Slytherin's locket, objects that would become legendary, though not always for the reasons their creators intended. The castle settling deeper into night now, the moon rising over the forbidden forest, casting silver light across the lake where the giant squid occasionally surfaces, sending gentle ripples across the water before disappearing again into the peaceful depths. The naming of wizards follows its own traditions, with many pureblood families drawing from the stars for inspiration. The Black family, for instance, has a tradition of naming children after stars and constellations: Sirius, Regulus, Bellatrix, Andromeda, Narcissa. It's a way of linking their family to the heavens, to something eternal and unchanging. Sirius himself is named after the brightest star in the night sky, also called the dog star, a fitting name, as it would turn out, for someone whose animagus form would be a large black dog. Animagi are different from werewolves in crucial ways. While werewolves transform unwillingly at the full moon, losing their human minds and becoming dangerous, animagi choose their transformations and retain their human consciousness throughout. Becoming an animagus requires immense skill and patience. The process involves holding a single mandrake leaf in your mouth for an entire month, from full moon to full moon, without swallowing it or taking it out for any reason. One slip, one accidental swallow during sleep, and you must start over. After the month, there are incantations to perform at dawn and dusk, a potion to brew during an electrical storm, and even then, the transformation might not work. It can take years to achieve. Werewolves, by contrast, carry a curse passed through a bite. Remus Lupin was bitten as a small child by the werewolf Fenrir Greyback, who targeted children specifically. Once a month, at the full moon, a werewolf transforms in a painful process that leaves them exhausted. However, the Wolfsbane potion, a relatively recent invention, allows werewolves to keep their minds during transformation. The potion is extremely complex to brew and must be taken every day for a week before the full moon. It tastes dreadful and doesn't prevent the transformation, but it allows the werewolf to remain docile, aware, and in control, a small mercy, though the potion is expensive and difficult to obtain. Time itself can be manipulated in the wizarding world, though it's incredibly dangerous magic. Time turners are devices that allow the user to travel backward in time, each turn of the hourglass taking the user back 1 hour. The Ministry of Magic keeps strict control over these devices, and they're used primarily for mundane purposes, allowing students to attend multiple classes scheduled at the same time, for instance. The Department of Mysteries studies time turners and keeps them locked away, understanding that meddling with time can have catastrophic consequences. Those who change the past often find that they were always meant to make those changes, creating closed loops rather than alternate timelines. The Department of Mysteries itself is one of the most secretive sections of the Ministry, staffed by unspeakables, wizards and witches who are forbidden to discuss their work with anyone outside the department. They study the deepest mysteries of magic: time, space, thought, death, and love. In the depths of the department sits a room containing a stone archway with a tattered veil hanging from it, stirring though there's no wind. Some people can hear whispers from beyond the veil, like voices of those they've lost. It's called the Veil, and those who pass through it cannot return. It's a one-way door to death, ancient and mysterious, studied but never fully understood. Love itself is considered the most powerful magic, though it cannot be bottled or taught. Lily Potter's sacrifice for her son created a protection so strong that Voldemort couldn't touch Harry without suffering terrible pain. This wasn't a spell she cast or an incantation she spoke, it was simply love, pure and complete, choosing death to save her child. That choice left its mark on Harry, in his blood, in his very being. As long as he could call the place where his mother's blood dwelt home, that protection would remain. Magic recognizes sacrifice. It honors love in ways that even the most learned wizards don't fully comprehend. The unforgivable curses represent the darkest magic, forbidden by wizarding law with the strictest penalties. There are 3. The Imperious Curse, which controls another person's actions. The Cruciatus Curse, which causes unbearable pain, and Avada Kedavra, the Killing Curse, which causes instant death with no counterspell and leaves no mark on the victim. Use of any unforgivable curse on another human being results in a life sentence in Azkaban prison. These curses require powerful magic and genuine malicious intent. You have to mean them. As a dark wizard once said, you could point your wand at someone and say the words for Avada Kedavra, and the worst you'd likely get is a nosebleed, unless you truly wanted them dead. Azkaban prison sits on a small island far out in the North Sea, surrounded by icy waters and perpetual cold. For centuries it was guarded exclusively by Dementors, making it a place of despair so complete that many prisoners lost their minds. The Dementors fed on the prisoners' happiness constantly, leaving them with only their worst memories to dwell upon. Some prisoners died in Azkaban, not from physical harm but from simply giving up, losing the will to live. The prison has a nearly perfect record. Very few have ever escaped, and those who tried were usually recaptured within hours, weakened by their time in that terrible place. Yet even in darkness, there are those who resist, who fight, who choose courage over despair. The Phoenix, Dumbledore's companion Fawkes, represents this perfectly. A creature that cannot truly die, but instead bursts into flame and is reborn from its own ashes. The Hogwarts Express that carries students to school each year is itself a piece of magical history. The Scarlet steam engine was commissioned specifically for transporting students when the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy made it too dangerous for hundreds of children to arrive at Hogwarts by various magical means, drawing attention from Muggles. Before the train, students traveled by broomstick, enchanted carriages, or even apparition with their parents. The Express provided a solution, a single, organized journey that could be monitored and protected. Platform 9 3/4 was created at King's Cross, hidden from Muggle eyes, and since 1830, the train has made its journey without fail at the start of each school term. The journey takes approximately 7 hours, winding through the British countryside from London to Scotland. The train follows a specific route, crossing over rivers and through tunnels, passing towns where Muggles go about their lives completely unaware of the magical passengers gliding past. There's something dreamlike about the journey, watching the landscape change from city to countryside, from rolling hills to rugged mountains, while sampling sweets from the trolley and chatting with friends, knowing you're traveling toward a castle that shouldn't exist, toward a life of magic. Wands, those essential tools of magic, are more than just pieces of wood. Each wand has a personality determined by its wood type and core. Wandwood matters deeply. Holly wands bond with wizards who are engaged in dangerous spiritual quests, while Vinewood seeks wizards with hidden depths and purposes. Elder wood, the rarest, is deeply unlucky for most wizards, though in the hands of a wizard suited to it, an elder wand is a supremely powerful instrument. Wand length also carries meaning. Shorter wands suit wizards who lack something in character, while longer wands suit those with grand personalities or physical height. 9 to 14 inches is the normal range, with anything outside that being quite unusual. The flexibility of a wand indicates the adaptability of the wizard-wand pair. A rigid wand suggests resistance to change, while a supple wand indicates ease of adaptation. These aren't judgments but simply characteristics, the way a person might be described as steadfast or flexible. Mr. Ollivander, who's been making wands for decades, can remember every wand he's ever sold, whom he sold it to, what it was made of, and what made it special. His memory is extraordinary, a lifetime of matching wands to wizards, understanding the subtle magic that draws a particular wand to a particular person. Magical objects sometimes choose their owners in ways that go beyond wands. The sword itself is goblin-made, which means it's indestructible and takes in only that which makes it stronger. When Harry pulled the sword from the Sorting Hat, it had absorbed basilisk venom, making it one of the few objects capable of destroying Horcruxes, objects containing fragments of a dark wizard's soul. Horcruxes represent the darkest magic imaginable. To create one, a wizard must split their soul through the act of murder, then encase that fragment in an object through a horrific ritual that's barely documented even in the darkest books. The purpose is to achieve immortality. As long as one piece of your soul remains on earth, you cannot truly die. But the cost is terrible. Splitting your soul damages your humanity, your capacity for love and empathy. Creating multiple Horcruxes, as Voldemort did, leaves you less than human, a shadow sustained only by the darkest magic. It's a perversion of life itself, clinging to existence through murder and dark ritual. The study of death and what lies beyond is something even the wisest wizards approach with humility. The tale of the three brothers, a wizard fairy tale, speaks of three objects given by Death himself. The Elder Wand, the most powerful wand in existence, the Resurrection Stone, which can recall the dead, and the Cloak of Invisibility, which hides the wearer completely. Together, these are called the Deathly Hallows. Most wizards consider them mere legend, a children's story with a moral about accepting death. But like many legends, there's truth hidden within. These objects do exist, scattered through history, sought by those who wish to master death itself. The Elder Wand has passed through many hands over centuries, usually taken by violence, as defeating a wand's master allows you to claim its allegiance. The wand's history is soaked in blood. Countless wizards have killed to possess it, only to be killed in turn. The Resurrection Stone, set in a ring, was lost for generations before being found again, bringing only grief to those who used it. In the end, magic is about choices more than abilities. A powerful wizard might choose mercy, while a weak one might choose cruelty. The magic itself is neutral. It's the heart behind the wand that determines whether magic builds or destroys, protects or harms. This is perhaps the deepest magic of all, the one least understood, that power means nothing without wisdom, and that true strength lies not in dominating others but in choosing kindness, courage, and love, even when hatred seems easier, even when the world is dark. The castle breathing slowly in the depths of night, every soul within it precious, every dream sacred, the ancient stones holding centuries of stories, of students who walked these halls and grew and learned and became who they were meant to be. Magical creatures fill the world beyond Hogwarts, some gentle, some fierce, all remarkable. The hippogriff is one such creature, part horse, part eagle, with the body and hind legs of a horse and the wings, front legs, and head of an eagle. Approaching a hippogriff requires respect and understanding of their proud nature. You must bow and wait for the hippogriff to bow back before approaching. If it doesn't bow, it's best to back away slowly, as insulting a hippogriff can result in serious injury. Once trust is established, however, they're fiercely loyal creatures, capable of forming deep bonds with those who treat them with proper respect. In the waters around Britain, merpeople make their homes in lakes and seas, living in communities as complex as any wizard village. The merpeople in the Great Lake at Hogwarts are selkies, with greenish skin and long wild hair. They speak Mermish, a language that sounds melodious above water but becomes comprehensible below the surface. Merpeople are not under the authority of the Ministry of Magic. They're classified as beings rather than beasts and govern themselves. They have their own culture, their own art and music, carved from stone and performed in their underwater grottos, completely separate from the wizarding world above. Dragons, perhaps the most famous magical creatures, come in many breeds, each with distinct characteristics. The Hungarian horntail is considered the most dangerous, with black scales, bronze horns, and spiked tail. It can breathe fire up to 50 feet and guards its eggs ferociously. The Welsh green, by contrast, is comparatively docile and prefers to eat sheep rather than humans. Dragon eggs are classified as Class A non-tradable goods, meaning it's illegal to buy, sell, or own one. They can grow up to 25 feet tall, with strength proportional to their size. Most wizards fear giants, remembering the violence of past giant rebellions when they sided with dark wizards. But giants aren't inherently evil, they're simply powerful and often misunderstood, pushed to the margins of the magical world. Half-giants, like Hagrid, exist in a difficult space between two worlds, often facing prejudice from both wizards and giants, belonging fully to neither. Veela are magical beings of extraordinary beauty, possessing an enchanting quality that affects those who look upon them. When Veela are angry, however, they transform into something quite different. Bird-like creatures with cruel beaks and wings, capable of throwing fire. Veela hair is sometimes used as a wand core, though it's considered temperamental by wandmakers like Ollivander, who prefers phoenix feather, unicorn hair, or dragon heartstring. Fleur Delica, a talented witch, is 1/4 Veela, inheriting some of their beauty and magical charm, though she's far more than just her appearance. Intelligent, brave, and fiercely loyal. In the realm of magical plants, some are as dangerous as any creature. The venomous tentacula has dark red tentacles that will attempt to strangle anyone who comes near, and its bite is poisonous. Devil's snare thrives in dark, damp places and will wrap around anything that touches it, squeezing tighter when the victim struggles. The key to escaping devil's snare is to relax. It releases what doesn't struggle. But that's easier said than done when you're being constricted by plant tendrils in the dark. Light and heat also cause it to recoil, making fire an effective defense, though again, difficult to manage when you're panicking. Mandrakes are particularly useful plants despite their unsettling nature. The root of a mandrake looks like a small, muddy baby, and when pulled from the soil, it screams. A mature mandrake scream is fatal to anyone who hears it, which is why students wear earmuffs during herbology lessons when handling them. Mandrake restorative draught, made from stewed mandrakes, can revive those who have been petrified or transfigured. The plants must mature fully before they're useful for potions. You know they're ready when they start trying to move into each other's pots, a sign they're becoming teenagers, in a manner of speaking. The room of requirement, that magical space on the 7th floor, can become nearly anything, but there are limits to its magic. It cannot create food, as that violates Gamp's law. It cannot produce objects that are somewhere else. It can only conjure objects that are truly needed. When thousands of objects have been hidden in the room over centuries by students wishing to conceal things, the room becomes the room of hidden things, a vast space filled with generations of secrets, from broken furniture to dark objects to forgotten treasures. Everything hidden there over 1,000 years of Hogwarts history, piled high like a cathedral of lost things. So our journey through these 100 facts comes to a gentle close. We return to where we began, to that moment on a train when a character first appeared in an author's mind, to a story that would grow into something beloved by millions around the world. The magic of Harry Potter isn't just in the spells and potions, the creatures and curses. It's in the friendships that sustain us, the courage we find when we're afraid, the choice to do what's right even when it's difficult. It's in the idea that love is the strongest magic, that our choices matter more than our abilities, and that even in the darkest times, there is always hope. The castle sleeps now, peaceful and still, its students dreaming of magic and adventure, of the lives they'll lead and the people they'll become. The stars will overhead, the same stars that have watched over Hogwarts for 1,000 years, and will watch for 1,000 more. And somewhere, in a cupboard under the stairs, or in a dormitory tower, or in your own bed as you drift off to sleep, the magic continues, alive in every person who has ever believed in the power of a story well told, a world well imagined, and a hero who teaches us that we're all capable of magic, if only we're brave enough to believe.